I have not found a way to attract clients, especially coaching clients, without some form of leadership and visibility, right? Even if that's only getting on networking calls and showing up from confidence and leadership. Selling coaching is not like selling a toaster, as I've told you guys many, many times, right? Because it's not a case of I show up, I buy the thing, and I enjoy the thing. It's a case of I show up, I invest in the thing, and now I have to change lifelong behaviors. I have to pay a bunch of money and do a bunch of work in order to see results and make this happen. Whether you sell coaching or courses. This episode is brought to you by the Brave Coach Breakthrough Program, my one-on-one coaching program where I help new coaches sign their first 2 or more high-ticket clients in 3 months. Back to the episode. Your clients, they need to trust you, connect with you, and see that you can lead them. I'm your host, Tiffany Gilleland, an Australian business and mindset coach with 10 years experience in online marketing and the creator of the Business Bravery Framework. I help coaches to be brave so you can sign more clients even if you hate marketing and sales feel icky. From signing your next paying clients through to launching that dream group coaching program, the Business Bravery Framework helps you take bigger leaps without the mindset spirals. It's helped my clients double their investment in me, make thousands of dollars, and truly build their dream business. In this episode, I am super excited to talk to the coaches in the audience who want to help people, but also feel just much more comfortable staying under the radar. Okay. But for some reason, like despite that feeling, that push and pull, it's kind of like accelerator, brake, all at the same time. Despite that, there's something in you and you feel this whisper to show up and perhaps even just like run a workshop or go live or just do something, maybe do different type of reels, like talking on camera reels and things like that. Just some of those kinds of whispers, and maybe you've handled all of those other things, but you're like, okay, it's time. I want to be a guest on podcasts, or I want to run a podcast of my own. There's always these places where it's like we want to go, but at the same time, we're feeling hesitant. Okay. So I say we because this is a huge part of what inspires me when it comes to bravery and helping coaches with bravery. And so, yeah, I can't wait to dive into this. And this comes direct from a conversation that I've had, but it's also direct from other conversations I've had and clients who've worked with me and that kind of thing. And sort of what we do in the business bravery framework for this kind of stuff is really get into that whole that push-pull feeling of I want to do the next brave thing in my business. I want to show up in some way, and yet at the same time, I'm not taking the actions, or I just feel stuck and, feel the fear and do it anyway isn't helping me break through this. Okay. So, welcome back to the Business Bravery Podcast, right? I can't wait to dive into this topic more. Right. And I just want to say, like, you are not alone. And it doesn't mean that as a coach, whether you're a business coach or a health coach or a life coach or something like that, or any kind of coach really, or even for those of you I know, I also attract some service-based business owners. All of this will apply, right? We've all been there, but particularly when it comes to coaching. Right, I just want to say you're not alone. I've had to face this multiple times, okay? And it's really common, and there's tools. I'm going to share some awesome tools with you and some journaling prompts and everything to help you through this, okay? So I guess I just want to share like sort of from me on a personal note and what I have gone through, because I think it could be so easy for people to sort of look at, God, I don't even want to say the phrase someone like me, because I don't even think that I I I don't know what it looks like from the outside, but it's possible that you could see someone like me who's running a podcast for a couple of years and getting on and being a guest on other people's podcasts, and I've gotten up on stages and done all of that stuff and gone live and all that kind of thing for a number of years now. And it can perhaps maybe from the outside look easier. And you might not know that as a child, and in fact, for most of my life, I really just disliked being the center of attention. I was very happy being the quieter one in the corner and sort of listening to what was going on. Or if I was in a group setting or something like that, I wouldn't want to hog the limelight for too long. I'd want to pass it on to others. Like I more easily match other people's energy than perhaps be the one who walks into a room and creates that energy, except for situations where it's like I've known people all my life and I feel extremely comfortable, right? But I guess you could probably say that I would show up in social situations and try to match the energy of people around me, right? Where appropriate, okay? Sort of this is something I haven't shared before, but it's like it's like I like to tune in to the vibe of a room or the people around me and the vibe, the energy or something like that, and sort of find my way with that, if that makes sense. So I found it a particular struggle when it comes to getting up in front of people, when it comes to perhaps even it's like having to start the conversation, if that makes sense. Having to show up as a leader and start, I have found that particularly, a particular struggle because I'm not responding to others. And I guess for those people who know of, the word escapes me, human design, that's the word I'm looking for. So for those of you who know a little bit about human design, so I'm a manifesting generator, and I believe like also generators need to do this as well, but we have quite a lot of power in responding and then working out how to respond when it comes to showing up as a leader and being a leader, but also responding to the people around you. It can feel like a catch-22. And for anybody who needs to know, I've completely gone off on a tangent. I haven't even set my timer to make sure that I don't go on and on forever. But I guess, like, I want to say when it comes to this kind of stuff, in terms of responding, I think about it in terms of, okay, what questions have I had? What from people? What conversations have I had? And oh, let's make some content out of that kind of thing. And that is exactly what I have done with this conversation. And I'm very grateful to the people who who speak to me and perhaps go, oh, hey, that was me. And just it's never just one person. Right? And there's always multiple people. It just might be you're the person who I've spoken to most recently. But this is also just so close to my own experience. And yeah, like I guess I just wanted to say that this whole thing of, okay, like I want to help more people, but I really feel like I prefer to be under the radar, right? But I want to help people, but I want to be under the radar. This push, pull, accelerate, brake situation. I feel there's so much of the time, right? And in fact, despite all of perhaps the leaps I have made in this whole way of working, it still comes in the moment when it's like, okay, it's time to open up Instagram stories, right? I have an assistant who posts my feed content, so I don't have to go through it with that. But I still have done plenty of times because I started out in content creation and copywriting in 2011. So, yeah. So, I guess I wanted to say, let's get back into my dot points here, right? Is that this is so common, right? You are not broken, okay? This is your brain trying to keep you safe, okay? Especially the subconscious, right? So, standing out from the crowd, it's always meant sort of danger, right? And in fact, the subconscious can get activated at anything that is change or different. Okay, so our logical brains know, hey, I have a business, I need to post like other people do, and I need to do this or do that, or run the masterclass or the workshop or all of these things, right? But the subconscious goes, oh my gosh, something is changing. And change hasn't always been good, so it really fears change. So for some of us, and I like to think of us as the people who are really good at survival, right? This is when things like anxiety can kick in or just being completely blocked. So, you know, sort of anxiety, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn could be any number of the responses when the subconscious is like, hang on, something is changing and we don't know how we feel about it, okay? Right? Because in caveman times, you didn't want change. You wanted to, you had to stay in the cave eating all of the food until it became to a point where if you didn't go out, you were like the, certain death was going to happen in the cave because you were going to run out of food. So you had to go and get more. And so there's those things, right? And even as I say that, I wonder if there's a whole thing of that whole hunter-gatherer, and then there might have been certain types of people, and maybe this could even be a male-female thing if we get into it, of like the men went out and went out and found food, and so like they're more genetically predisposed. Anyway, okay, that's another tangent. Let's stop doing these tangents, Tiff. Let's stay on track. This is why we have the dot point document. Right. Hang on, I need to start my stopwatch. I don't know how long I have been talking for already. Oh, that says 13 minutes. I recorded an intro. We're okay. Right. Okay. So anyway, back to this makes sense. This is normal, and there's actually ways to train your brain around it and train the subconscious. Okay. So, and it's also why for those of us who have avoided the spotlight most of our lives, i.e., me as well, suddenly being visible feels unnatural and even unsafe. Okay. And that's really what we're going to do with the subconscious is help it to feel safe ahead of time. So then going live, doing the workshop from a physical point of view, and that triggering the fight, flight, freeze, or even the fawn mode. Okay. And the fawn mode in this situation is when you say whatever you think the other person wants to hear so that they will like you and you won't be kicked out of the group, because at some point, because being kicked out of groups is not good for us as humans. We kind of need groups to survive, and that's how we are programmed, okay? For the majority of us, okay? There's these things in the brain that does this. So, and then I guess the fawn mode in this place can be either like just not recording or just creating content that people just want to hear, and it's the same as what everybody else is saying. So you're okay, you're safe. And it's okay if you're at that point. There's no judgment here. We've all been there. It can be very hard to go from not posting or doing anything to suddenly putting your hand up and going, "Oh my gosh, I think something's so different to everybody else, and here's why everybody else is wrong." And just that's a big leap. You don't have to go there straight away. Anyway, so the other thing that comes up, apart from the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn modes that can come up, is the overthinking, the perfectionism, the procrastination, and kind of the overwhelm, right? So all of these things can be happening, and you can see yourself when you've got something big on. Like, for example, last week I taught a workshop, right? Content to clients workshop, right? With one sentence stories. I'll help you go content to clients. You've heard about it in previous episodes. I might even run it again. I haven't made that decision yet. But in all honesty, sorry. Okay. I'm just gonna put my phone in flight mode. Apologies. I never get phone calls, but of course, the one moment that I am recording a podcast, we get the phone call. So, what was I saying? Oh, yes, in all honesty, I ran a workshop last week. It was awesome. We had paying members, breakthroughs were had. People went from I hate posting to I'm so excited to post now in a 2 hour period, which I think is phenomenal. And if I gifted them nothing else, just that shift in perspective was like, I think, well worth the 20 something dollars that people paid. So, what what I do want to tell you though, from a whole my subconscious fears and things like that, is that my house is the tidiest it's ever been, right? Because there was some perfectionism and some procrastination that came in, and definitely some overthinking. And so breaking through that with physical stuff was good, but perhaps some of that physical cleaning might have also been a tad bit of procrastination in itself. So anyway, positives and negatives. Let's let's move on, right? So I kind of want to talk about a hard truth. And actually, this, in my experience, I have not found a way to attract clients, especially coaching clients, without some form of leadership and visibility, right? Even if that's only getting on networking calls and showing up from confidence and leadership, okay? Because selling coaching is not like selling a toaster, as I've told you guys many, many times, right? Because it's not a case of I show up, I buy the thing and I enjoy the thing. It's a case of I show up, I invest in the thing, and now I have to change lifelong behaviors. I have to pay a bunch of money and do a bunch of work in order to see results and make this happen, right? Whether you sell coaching or courses or anything like that, even if you are selling a service, granted, your clients don't have to do as much of the work after investing, but they still do have to do some work. They have to step up. They have to be able to communicate what you need so that you can provide the service, whether that's social media, copywriting, whatever that is. Okay. So your clients, they need to trust with you. They need to trust you, connect with you, and see that you can lead them. But they also need to feel seen, heard, and understood. So there's a lot going on. And I like honestly, like especially if you want to be a high ticket coach, nobody is investing thousands of dollars into you if they don't know you. And the the fastest way for them to know you is to get on video so that they can see your personality, right? Or even get on a podcast, right? They don't have to see you, but they can hear you, right? There's a whole extra psychology around that. But again, you are showing up as a leader, okay? You're showing up from a place of confidence, not a place of stress and, oh my God, what if I say the wrong thing and this and that and all of this, right? Showing up from this leadership of, I have people to help. I am here to help people with problems. Let's do this. It's not about me, it's about the people I help, right? So hiding in the background, it just will not get you hired, okay? Because if you're not getting on calls and talking to people, if you don't have content so that they can check you out when they're like, oh, I'm thinking about working with this person, right? Any of these things can be losing you clients, right? Avoiding visibility is losing you clients, right? So, as I said before, we need to reframe this of it's not about you and how nervous you feel and what if I say the wrong thing and me, right? Which you would think is what you would need to have covered in order to stand up and be a leader, right? Hey, I'm being a leader, it's about me. Actually, it's not about you. It's about the people you want to help. And if you start transitioning into imagining your ideal person and them being stuck and then finding your content or your whatever your message is and then go, oh my God, this is what I needed to hear today. It's like you're in my mind, you're reading my mind, all of that good stuff. Like, and seeing them have a transformation, then like that can help you bust through this stuff, right? If you keep telling yourself, oh, I should go live, I should post more, I should do the podcast, should do the workshop, that kind of thing, right? It becomes pressure, and that really does not motivate you when you're already scared, right? So just remove the word should, okay? Delete that from your vocabulary. It's, start leaning into what could I do? How could I show up? What is one small step I could do to show up as this leader and being more visible? Coaches, if you're feeling frustrated that you're doing all the things but still not signing clients, this is for you. You're a new coach, you know coaching can change lives, and you're ready to sign your first two or more high ticket paying clients already, but it's just not happening. You're posting content, you're showing up, but your inbox is crickets, while your coach friends seem to be signing clients left and right with ease. You're starting to wonder, is it my offer, my niche, or maybe is it just me? Well, let me tell you, it's not just you. And you don't need another freebie or some vague advice that's not going to work for you. You need a clear, repeatable strategy and support that gets you focused on the right tasks. That's exactly what we do inside the Brave Coach Breakthrough, my 3-month one-on-one coaching program for new coaches who are ready to finally sign their first two or more high ticket clients. We blend practical marketing foundations with the mindset work that actually gets results because I know what it's like to think, who am I to be a coach? Can I really charge that much? I don't want to be too salesy. And my clients, they've been there too, and I've helped them move through it. Like my client M, who signed her first two clients in 60 days without a big launch. Another client D, who booked her first discovery call within 3 weeks of working with me and signed her first paying client a few weeks later. Or Tracy and Jess, who launched their first group program, signed their first 4 clients, and doubled their investment in me. You can do this too with the right support. We'll build your signature coaching package, clarify your message, the exact words you want to be using, and create a client signing strategy that feels like you, feels like the right fit for your personality. The whole program is designed to double your investment and make sure you have repeatable systems to keep signing clients well into the future. I have 4 spots open at the time of recording, but these will go fast. Book your free strategy call at tiffanyGstudios.com, Tiffany, G for golf, Studios.com, or find me over on Instagram at Tiffany G Studios, exact same spelling, no spaces, no underscores, and DM me the word breakthrough or just say, hi, I heard you on the podcast. You can be the coach who gets paid to change lives. Let's make it happen. Before I get into the how to start speaking up, I just want to talk about this turning point that I had for me when it came to this stuff. Because just so you know, like I spent the first year of my business not telling anybody that I had a business, right? Other than strangers on the internet, happy for them, but certainly no friends or family, right? I was hiding on that side of things. And by the time I told them, like I was so okay with it, it didn't matter what their reactions were, right? But if only I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have waited that long, right? So the what I found for me was that like I reached a point where avoiding the limelight or the spotlight or avoiding being seen, it just started to make me miserable, okay? And not from a place of, I just want the spotlight on me, right? That's never going to be something that motivates me, right? But it came from a place of I dream of this business looking in a certain way, like having a community where everybody feels connected and can show up and get and help. And I want to help more people on a bigger basis. I want to create a bigger ripple effect with my coaching and with helping people, especially where marketing and mindset meet up, right? So and especially the mindset side, which is the thing that I learned last and has been the most powerful stuff that I have learned, right? As I've always said, if it had have been the right marketing strategy for me, then I would have nailed that years ago. It's always been this whole push pull. Got the strategy. Oh, it's not working. I can't get it to work because I didn't have the confidence. And then I would stay hidden and hold back. And then it'd be like, oh, go get a new strategy. And it just was never that for me, right? So I just I was just miserable because like I felt stuck and unfulfilled, right? Because I knew that there's this version of me that could do all of this stuff. Like I look at other people, the big names in our industry, in the coaching industry, yeah, coaching and online business industries, right? So the Marie Forleos, the James Wedmores, the third one, Amy Porterfield, right? Some of the big names who have inspired me over the years, right? To varying degrees and various levels. And just thinking about which direction to go with this particular point that I want to make. So I don't know if this sounds a bit whatever, but to my mind, like I saw those people and I've never had this thing of that person is better than me, right? Like to my mind, they put their pants on one leg at a time, same way that I do. And so like, they have this business that I want. So then why can't I go and do that too, right? Now, there was a whole range of reasons why I wasn't seeing that the results that I wanted from making these steps, but that was my experience. So I want to preface this by saying in years earlier, though, like I had seen people showing up online, and in fact, I worked for a photographer who had millions of followers I worked for him in 2014, right? I was on one of his teams for like online photography coaching and training and all of that stuff. There was a whole range of photographers that worked for him and it was just this awesome group and yeah, and it was awesome. So he was actually one of the ones like I actually met him in person. He's American. I'm Australian. He actually came to Sydney for one of these meetups and for stuff he was like he was even paid to go and speak at Google. His name is Trey Ratcliffe, and he kind of created a whole style of photography called HDR photography, or he was one of the leaders in sort of getting that on the map and starting it because it's a digital thing. Anyway, he had millions of followers at a time when millions of followers was sort of unusual. I know now it's kind of normal, but at that time it's sort of unusual. And anyway, when I met him and I was doing this online stuff, but I was so like introverted. There was this weekly YouTube show that I would help out on, and I wouldn't speak up. I'd sit there, monitoring Twitter and talking to people during the show on Twitter and sharing questions from the show, but I was always super nervous and everything. Anyway, I met him in person and I was struggling to speak because at that time, I just saw myself as an introvert and I just didn't want the spotlight on me. But it's like, here's this person who trusts me to build his social media. And yet I couldn't even form words. And I sort of said, look, I know I'm not really chatty and everything, but when I'm on a keyboard doing my social media stuff, you can't shut me up, right? So don't stress, I know what I'm doing. Like, don't lose faith in me or anything. And not that he said anything, that was just me jumping to conclusions. And actually he said to me, hey, don't worry, Tiff. I'm an introvert too. And it just like that blew my mind. And it suddenly like opened up all of these options and opportunities for me of, hey, you can be an introvert and show up on video and go live and teach people and run groups of people and all of that kind of stuff, right? You can be an introvert and do all of these things. And so that started me on this thing. So by the time I came across the Marie Forleos and the James Wedmores and everything, I already had a vision of it's possible and these people are people just like me because I'd already met one of them, so it didn't feel like they were, completely different to me, other than perhaps they were a bit braver. And then there was a whole bunch of stuff around my own confidence and my own self-confidence and, my ability to handle fear and the fear of success, which has been one of my biggest blockers that I've been working through. Anyway, so this this is why like once I realized someone like me was doing what I wanted and I didn't have this excuse of I'm an introvert or I just don't like the limelight, that's when I felt miserable not going out and putting my all into it and trying everything I could to get clients because I wasn't signing clients by holding back, staying hidden, right? And then like, that whisper inside me, it got louder and it's just like I had to make a choice and it's sort of like go all in or just give up. And life is too short and too miserable to just give up, so I keep trying and I go all in. In complete transparency, though, I want to say that there have been times I've gone all in and then I've, like with this visibility stuff, and then I've burnt out and I've had illness. And so then I've pulled back and I've gone in and I've pulled back. This is, but each time I do that, I get further forward each time I dive in. So just to be real with like that is my experience so far. But now recently I've been learning all these cool new tools that I'm going to be sharing with you. So yeah, anyway, and me showing up has created results. Like I have had clients who have hired me because I had a podcast, right? Not because they ever listened to an episode. I had a podcast because they told me. So, but I have had clients who have hired me because like I went live and I shared something vulnerable and I was in stories and that kind of thing. And I've spoken to them and I was brave enough to get on networking calls and all that sort of stuff. So let's get into the fun stuff, the how to actually start speaking up, right? So I have 3 steps for you, okay, for this. And then after this, I've got journaling prompts. So I will go through those as well. So, step 1 is to find your compelling reason why. Okay. So, the what do you really want? Who do you want to help? Why does staying small no longer serve you? Right. That, but really just like those are some of the questions you can ask yourself to kind of unearth that why. But it's just really finding a compelling reason why, because there will be hard days, right? Like, for example, I still struggle with this stuff, that push pull, when it comes to Instagram stories. And there are some days where just everything in my body just doesn't want me to open up Instagram stories and post, right? So I have to do everything that I can to work through that because like it's still not the easiest part of my identity at this point in time, right? But find that really compelling reason why and being able to tap into it when it gets hard. So, for example, I can close my eyes and imagine the community that I'm building and people being helped by what I'm sharing and it helping somebody in their day and that kind of thing. Part of why I struggle a bit with stories is like looking at the numbers and all of the thoughts and the judgments. So that's another thing, but that's a different side of things. There's just the compelling reason why to start with. So step number 2 is to help your subconscious feel safe. Okay. So visualizing yourself doing the thing, right? And visualizing yourself doing the thing before you have to do it, right? So, and visualizing yourself doing it successfully and like not necessarily perfection, but visualizing the success, right? Ahead of time. Just closing your eyes, taking a few deep breaths and visualize yourself. Like for me, when it comes to the Instagram stories, is just visualize myself opening up the app and creating a post and posting it and then just feeling better throughout the day, right? For the workshop, I was actually visualizing and journaling on how that workshop was going to go even before I'd even finished creating the workshop. So just that whole, it just, you can feel it in your body as you do it. Like the whole body starts to just soften and relax because the brain doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality, right? So if you're visualizing that success ahead of time, it starts to feel like it's already happened. And then it stops fearing it and stops blocking you and stops tensing up all of your body and feeling unsafe and sabotaging and all that kind of stuff, right? So you can do some other ways to make your subconscious feel safe is like meditation, grounding, breath work beforehand, ahead of time, reframing the thoughts, right? So, and I've got some journaling prompts that I'll be sharing after this that can help you unearth some of the thoughts and the beliefs that it might be coming up for you. especially if you think about this big step that you want to take and you're going into that freeze mode. For me, when I'm in freeze mode, my brain kind of shuts down, right? And like that's a normal biological response. And you're not necessarily in that place of what thoughts are holding me back. It's just the whole body is just going, nope, we don't want to do this. Let's binge watch on YouTube or let's binge watch Netflix or just that kind of thing. So it's about sort of taking some deep breaths, doing the visualization, doing the meditation and that kind of thing, and then coming out with the, okay, like, what thoughts do I have about doing this thing? What's coming up, right? With no judgment and just curiosity. And then being able to reframe them. So, some thoughts like, this is not a performance, it's like, it's a connection, right? Which is a fun one, really like that. It can be, I'm learning to feel safe while sharing my perspective online, right? And I'm going to be talking about safety and everything in the journaling prompts and everything. But it can also be reframing thoughts of like, this isn't about me. I'm showing up so I can help people, right? Okay, I'm being uncomfortable so that I can make somebody else's day better. For those of you who like to serve, right? That can also help, right? So, but I also like, the I'm learning or it's possible when it comes to reframing, right? It's possible that I can share my thoughts online and it all works out. Okay. And the other part of helping your subconscious to feel safe is, well, a little bit the subconscious, but also that logical side of the brain. So having some kind of marketing strategy plan so that when you speak up, you know you're speaking up with purpose and you know that it unlocks results. Okay, so having that plan. And a lot of what I do is helping clients with the marketing and the mindset together so that you can actually get real results. So, step three, the third and final step, is to be kind to yourself and start small. Okay. So, don't necessarily go live on your Instagram to 300 people if that freaks you out. You can just record a story or send a voice note or write a short post, right? Okay. You can practice with safe people first, right? So you could create a small Facebook group and just have a couple of other people in there who are like your business besties, and that's your place to start. You can even create a Facebook group and just have yourself in there, or I've had clients who just had me and them, and they can then start recording or going live or recording a teaching thing or something like that. The the reason that the small steps really help is because it just helps to give the brain evidence that you can do these hard things, these brave things, excuse me, these hard things, these brave things, and these things outside of your comfort zone, these visible things, and that it's okay, nothing bad's happening, we can do more of this. You can kind of push your edge every few days or every week or something like that, right? Even for me in the past, like I've set a timer for like 5 minutes. Say it's the workshop that I'm stressed about, even though I've done tons of workshops before, right? I was stressed about creating this new workshop because it's new, it's a new style, and it was more interactive and much more teaching heavy rather than just presenter heavy. I mean, all of my stuff is interactive to a point, but this really was, we're creating content together. And I was nervous for that being different because it's like, oh, what if I'm can't deliver? Oh, excuse me. So, sorry. Okay, what if I can't deliver? And some of those things that were coming up. So, part of me was just setting timers for like, okay, we're just going to work on it for 5 or 10 minutes, right? Just 5 minutes, and then we can take a 25-minute break. It's like the opposite of the Pomodoro, which sounds crazy, but it can be really great to break through. And if you do a couple of those in a row, then you can actually sort of break through and the body just sort of relaxes and goes, okay, we don't need to fear this, we can do this, and then you can get into increasing it and doing more. So that it might sound crazy, but sometimes that's what I have to do to work around my subconscious, okay, when all of the other things aren't working, the visualizations and everything. Okay, so let's get into the journal prompts. All right, sorry, before I get into journal prompts, let me just recap. So step one was find your compelling reason why, right? So for any kind of behavior change, having a really strong why really helps to help you step into a new identity of yourself and keep the behavior change, right? Step two is help your subconscious feel safe through visualization, meditation, reframing the thoughts, journaling, that kind of stuff, and have a marketing strategy plan so that you have the logic side built out. So there's, okay, I have a logical plan, everything's okay. And then step three is be kind to yourself and start small. So starting out small, but also be kind to yourself, right? Don't expect yourself to suddenly go live every day for 30 days when you've never really done it before, okay? And so if you have a good day or a bad day, it's just like, just know that it doesn't matter how yesterday went, today's always a new day and you can start fresh and we do the thing, right? So these journaling prompts, okay? So I'm super excited to dive into these, right? I have 5 prompts. They work together in kind of a series and they build on each other. Okay. I'm going to tell you what the 5 are so that you can write them down if you want to. And then I'm going to share examples of them. So I'll give you the high level and then we'll get into the examples. So, number one, what are the top 5 situations that make you feel anxious when it comes to being seen, speaking up, or being visible, right? And anxious, uncomfortable, stuck, right? What are the top 5 that you can think of? Okay. So just write those down. So, what stories are you telling yourself about each of these situations? Okay. And I want to suggest that feeling safe is one of those things, like that whole I don't feel safe. So if that doesn't come up automatically, I'd suggest putting it in because you probably don't feel safe. Otherwise, if you did, you'd probably just go do it. So it's that safety thing that triggers the subconscious. And it's powerful to identify it so that we can reframe it and move through it. Now, number 3 is when was the first time you remember feeling this way, right? Now, it's okay if you can't remember the exact first time, but if you can remember some stuff, probably from childhood, of when you felt this way or when you heard people talking about this stuff, things that you might have heard, that kind of thing, the way people treated other people who stood up and stood out, right? Those kinds of things. And then that made you learn some lessons for like that kept you safe as a child, right? It's it's okay if you can't remember any of that, but just knowing, unearthing these thoughts that are holding you back is the biggest part. So if you can't think of anything here, don't worry about it. Don't like worry about it too much, right? But if anything does come up, then make note. So number 4 is now sort of rewriting and kind of rescripting these beliefs as your highest self, right? How, like, what would she say instead? And sort of as the most positive, most confident, your highest level self. And this is then something that you can read over every day, right? Have them in a notebook, read over these new scripted ones every day so that you really reinforce this feeling and sort of do it after doing some breathing or some meditation and then sort of do this as kind of a ritual. Some people do it with while they're like thinking about this stuff while they're making a drink and get really intentional and that kind of thing. And then reading over them so that you can help reinforce this new version of yourself. Okay. So let me just go over a couple of examples. So the five situations that make you feel anxious when it comes to being seen, speaking up, or being visible, right? I've just done three because five could make this run on a lot, but I've got pressing the button as I'm about to go live on Instagram, right? That has definitely been me in the past. Running a workshop over Zoom for potential clients, right? Could be a new style of workshop, whatever, right? That comes up for myself and for others all the time. Booking in to be a podcast guest, right? I know I've spoken to some people who want to be on podcasts, and I know some stuff comes up, right? So, what stories are you telling yourself about each of these situations, right? So, for the first one, the going live, right? I've written down, I'm going to mess up, I'm going to say the wrong thing, they'll find out that I'm terrible, I don't feel safe to go live. Okay, right? So, the second one, which was the workshop, I'm going to get something wrong or not be able to answer a question. They'll think it's boring or terrible, and I'd rather die than make a mistake. That's me. That's my perfectionism coming through, and I don't feel safe, right? You might want to start with I don't feel safe. I don't know, like it can come up before, it can come up after, but yeah. And then the third one, being a podcast guest, I'm sure I'll say the wrong thing and then everyone will judge me and think I'm terrible. I don't feel safe. Right. All of these things when it comes to the subconscious, it really does come down to safety, I think. At least it does for me. So, yeah, because I think, even like rejection or not feeling loved or something, I think the ultimate there underneath it all is feeling safe. So, but stay tuned. I may dig deeper or find more stuff to find out that it's not just, it's like, I know at one point I always thought everything came down to I'm not enough or, I'm not loved enough, but it sort of comes down to I'm not enough. But yeah, that next layer down deep is I'm not safe, right? Because that whole not being enough leads to rejection, kicked out of the group, and then can lead to potential nastiness and end of life or something, right? So that comes down to that I don't feel safe. So when was the first time you remember feeling this way, right? So I've written here having fellow students in class, like for the first one, having fellow students in class laugh at me because I forgot the answer when I put up my hand and was called on in class. And in fact, as I say it out loud too, the having the other students in class laugh at somebody else because they said the wrong thing, right? When they got the question wrong or something too, probably comes into that as well, right? The second one for the workshop, for me, a critical parent making fun of me or chastising me for getting something wrong. Fun times at the Apollo. And for number C, for the podcasting one, a parent judging others when they say something stupid or wrong, right? And like I think the part of this of going into, five examples, I think for me, I always often see these running similar things across all of these things to work and rework. Okay. So now that we've identified everything and sort of seen when it first came up, and you can go deeper into this if you want, but now we want to rewrite those beliefs as your highest self. Okay, so what does she say instead? So, an example that I like to put into all of these when I do this kind of journaling prompt and reframing is I start with I am safe and a worthwhile human. Okay, for me, I'm building self-confidence, self-love, right? And that worthwhile human thing, right? And it's something that's powerful for me. If it doesn't resonate with you, just leave it, and you don't have to do these exactly the same. Put them in your own words, of course. But here's my examples. I am safe and a worthwhile human to go live on Instagram and share my perspective on topics I'm passionate about. I am loved even if I make a mistake. So there's a whole range of ways that you can go through it. Some other stuff I've done in the past is, hey, if I make a mistake, I'll chuckle and People like to see you recover from mistakes. That's how they see the real you. Like there can be a lot of stuff to this, but for me, like at the moment, I'm at that point where it's like I'm loved even if I make a mistake. But there can also be that whole, if I make a mistake, then I'll just chuckle and go, "Oh, that was funny, wasn't it, guys?" And "Oh, here's what I meant to say," or something like that, right? Or you could even get on a follow-up one and go, "You know what? Yesterday I said this thing, and now I've been thinking about it from this other perspective." Or something. And so I'm updating that. And yeah, like there's always different ways to do things, right? So the second one, the workshop. I am safe and a worthwhile human to teach a workshop that helps others solve problems. I will practice and prepare, and anything I can't answer, I'll say, I'll get back to you on that. I am loved even if I don't have every answer. I am safe and a worthwhile human, and I trust myself to tell my stories on a podcast as best as I can. My most connected followers will understand my perspective without judgment, and I am okay with others not vibing with my approach to life and business, right? So even as I read out those reworded ones, like my muscles relax more. And I really do feel like I'm stepping into this new version of myself, this new identity, which is where the behavior change that sticks comes from, right? Is stepping into a new version of ourselves, a new identity. And that's what this kind of journaling prompt really, really helps with. Okay, so let me just recap the journaling prompts again. What are the top 5 situations that make you feel anxious when it comes to being seen, speaking up, or being visible? Number 2, what stories are you telling yourself about each of these situations, right? Whether they're true or not, whatever the stories are. Number 3, when was the first time you remember feeling this way, right? And number 4, rewrite those beliefs as your highest self. What does she say instead, right? From that kind of rescripting your life perspective. Okay, so if you are looking for more help with this, right? And like you're vibing with this, and even in the next couple of weeks, you start putting this into perspective and you start putting this into practice and find yourself making some shifts and some changes, but you're looking for the next level of help, right? With both the marketing and the mindset. Then I would suggest that you book in to a 60-minute business bravery call, right? We'll work through the fear, the overwhelm, and the procrastination keeping you stuck, and we'll get you a plan to move forward, right? Your business bravery plan, which covers the marketing strategy and the mindset to move forward, right? It will likely be focused on the area that you're stuck on. So, if it's the workshop, then we'll have a plan for that. If it's the going live, we'll have a plan for that. And if we have time to delve into other areas, if we make quick decisions and everything, then we can start applying it to other areas of your business. But basically, we will get you a plan to sign clients by being brave, right? So, an example of this, a client of mine, we'll call her A for anonymity. No, we'll call her A. And she was just a self-proclaimed introvert, and she was terrified of networking, right? So, actually, terrified might be a bit of a stretch, but she hated networking. She found it really uncomfortable. And, she would find that in those situations, if in, those awkward, uncomfortable conversations, her thoughts would be, it's my fault, right? I've done something wrong, it's my fault. And we actually worked through that on a call. I was like, what if it's okay that you don't click with everyone? Like what, like let's go into the realm of possibility. And we shifted this. So then it was like, oh, hang on, it's not just my fault. Like it's not just me, it's not my fault. And then, like 2 months later, she was getting on a stage in front of all of these people, giving a presentation, and like promoting her business and all that kind of thing. And it was stuff she never thought she'd do. And I, I know that that particular one-off session that we had was a step on the way to her doing that. right? Because she started seeing things differently and reframing, right? And being able to be more visible, right? So, yeah, if you want to do something like that, right? You don't necessarily have to be like, I want to speak on stages. It doesn't have to be that big. It can be small of just, hey, I just want to be able to go live without having to like take the rest of the day off and maybe the day off beforehand because I'm freaking out or something like that, right? So if if you want to do that, then book into a 60-minute business bravery call. At the time of recording, it's 197 US dollars for a 60-minute call. And believe me, it's going to be so worth your while. Reach out to me over on Instagram at Tiffany G Studios, Tiffany, G for golf, Studios, or come and find the podcast notes on my website, tiffanyGstudios.com, and you can book in for like a discovery call to see if this is something that might work for you. So 2 calls for the price of one. Alrighty. So I just want to close out this episode by saying to my fellow coaches that, as I've said, avoiding being visible, it is costing you clients, right? And I say this even to myself, right? There's definitely areas where I could be more visible myself, right? I'm not I don't have everything covered, but I have my areas of comfort and then there's areas where I'm growing and that's where I need to step up as well. So it's not about having to speak up and stand out, to be loud, flashy, and be seen for the sake of being seen. This is about being seen so that you can help people. And if you think about the people who you're helping who are having a bad day and they see this one thing that you said and it changes everything and makes them feel hopeful again, or they get a small transformation from it, then they also get a taste of what it's like to work with you, and that builds your authority. And can lead them coming back for more and then signing up to work with you, right? So choosing your growth over your fear can take you to where you want to go, right? You can help people and still be you. You don't need to be this amazing, perfect version of yourself, right? And yeah, like this is possible. Okay, this is completely possible. You can do this. So let me know how you go with the journal prompts and even just the 3 steps. I would love to hear any aha moments that you have. I would, if you reach out to me over on Instagram, then you could let me know. And I mean, I can keep it confidential and anonymous, but I'd love to be able to share it in a follow-up episode to just be like, oh, here's some of the shifts people made. Here's some of the results they got. Here's, they started doing this thing or that thing. I would love to be able to include that because this is not just about me, this is about everyone. Okay, thank you so much for listening, and that's it from me. Bye for now. If you're a new coach who's ready to finally sign your first 2 high-ticket clients, but you're stuck wondering what you're missing, then the Brave Coach Breakthrough is for you. It's my 3-month one-on-one coaching program where we blend strategy and mindset to help you confidently sign clients without feeling salesy. Spots are limited. Book your free strategy call now to see if this is the right fit for you. Come over to tiffanyGstudios.com, Tiffany, G for golf, Studios.com, or find me over on Instagram at Tiffany G Studios and DM me the word breakthrough to get a link to book your call. Let's get you paid to coach and change lives. Thanks for listening to the Business Bravery Podcast. Has this episode inspired you to do something brave? Even if it's only send a difficult email, please share it with me on Instagram or other social media channels. Feel free to tag me at Tiffany G Studios. That's Tiffany
G for golf, STUDIOS, no spaces, no underscores, etc. Or you can use the hashtag Business Bravery Podcast so that I can cheer you on, and together we can inspire other coaches and course creators to do brave things in their business and life. Now, I'm Tiffany, and I'll leave you with this one last thing. What's one brave thing you're going to do today? It doesn't have to be big. Even the smallest steps can create the most massive results. So again, feel free to share it with me either publicly or privately so that I can cheer you on. That's it from me. Until next time, bye for now.